Exhausted? Whew, Lordy, you're right. And I made it back, so here we go. And I figure I'd get that in there really quick. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world, you know it is JJ and JJ's PC Builds. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. What I mean by 4,000 watch hours, watch the video from beginning to end. Would be much appreciated. Would help the channel get monetized. And thank you for all the new subscribers we got. Let's go ahead and take a peek at it and see where we're at on the list. So that way I let y'all know. We are at 184 subscribers, so we're getting up there. So if this is your first time here, make sure you do subscribe. And thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, thank you as always for watching all the videos and helping support the channel. Much love to you. And I'm glad to be back. It was a hell of a trip. But I'll save that for the next video, because that is the next video that's going to be coming up, is my trip to Micro Center. So make sure y'all stick around for that. That will be coming up soon. I have to edit it. I have to do a lot of things. I just got home approximately half an hour ago. So I haven't had any sleep. So I'm running without any sleep right now. But I'm going to do graphics card nightmares. Like I told y'all, I'm not going to let you down on it. And I do apologize I couldn't get to put the video out on Friday, because I don't have a computer with me to edit the video and everything else to do it right then and there. So, you know, I'm a one-man band right now until maybe someday we grow up to be big kids, and then we become a 2, 3, 4, 5 man, you know. Maybe we'll get 100 people. Maybe we can get 1,000. Maybe we can be like a big old bunch of great people trying to bring great content to you. But anyway, now we're going to go ahead and get to graphics card nightmares. So do stick around for that, and we're going to go right to the action screen and get it all started. So in about 2 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Boop. There we go. So, and like I said, I apologize to y'all, but I just got home a half an hour ago. So I told you I'm going to bring graphics card nightmares to you, and I'm not going to let you down. So do stick around. We got more coming up. We are on the action screen right now, so let's get ready to go over to Amazon and see what's going on. Alrighty, so here we go. Typing in Amazon, Amazon. If y'all don't know how to spell it, now you do. So let's go ahead and just click on it with the smile. And let's see what they got for graphics card for gaming PCs for this week. I've been hearing rumors. That prices have been coming down on graphics cards. Looks like this one I really can't recommend because I don't know the brand. Now, for this one right here, I do know the brand. I haven't tested it, but we will. Hopefully one day they'll send us a test batch so we can test it out and see what it's about. But they did lower it from $129 to $108.99, say $109. That is not a bad deal for a starter. If you're trying to build your first PC and you just want something as a starter card, that's a good starter card for low level gaming, like, you know, running games at, 1080p, and stuff like that, but heavy AAA gaming I would not recommend it for. But you're older and you're good your good older graphic ones, you can probably get away with it. But moving down the road, the talk of the day is the 3060 12 gigabyte. But now, one thing that everybody doesn't seem to be talking about, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to click on this one just as an example. We're going to take and highlight this right here. We're going to copy it right here, and then we're going to open up a new screen. I'm showing you how to do it, so follow along. And then you paste it, and then you type and check the specs. Okay, and then go to the Tech Power Up specs. Okay, now, good and bad about this card. Okay, good and bad. Okay, now the bad thing is I'm going to show you what the bad thing is. Where was it? God, I gotta stop singing. Okay, what was it? Right here. Right here. This is right here. This is what you need to look at. 15 gigabytes per second effective. Okay, now, understand something about how, effective if you're using memory. Okay, this is one thing nobody I've seen touch on yet. Okay, but when it comes to the graphic memory itself, when you got 15 gigabytes per second, that's a little bit slower than the newer brands that are out there, And this is what everybody tries to compare apples with oranges, but they don't realize that if the memory doesn't have enough bandwidth, what'll happen is it'll start bottlenecking, and it'll start being a lot of latency. So what they don't say is that 15 gigabytes effective is really slow. That's really slow. That's like in putting that card in the category of, let's say, the RX 580. Somewhat, in a sense. Because of the bandwidth, the memory clock bandwidth, it would have been better if they would have punched that up to like 17 gigabytes per second or 19, or, if they pushed it up to 19, I'm sure this card would be a lot faster than it is. Do remember, the faster your memory, the faster your card will be. So, do keep that in mind. I think the only problem with this card is the bandwidth. Right there, the bandwidth equaling the effective rate. The effective rate. Those two right there are your bad caveats for this card. Now, if you were to change that and put that to 19 and change this and put this to 457 to about almost 475, right here, the bandwidth, if you were to put this at 475 gigabits per second, I'll try to get it right, then I think this card would have been a ball buster. But, but with all this going on, see, it's even got PCIe 4.0 x16, it's still a predecessor, It doesn't have bad TM user ROPS, or SM count is not bad, that RT is not bad. I mean, a 170 watt card should be doing a hell of a lot better than a 110 watt card. So just keep that in mind. Because if you go to buy this card, you're buying it for the fact of that you just want a low budget card. Okay, so I can say this is a low budget card now because it's and I moved my boundaries up to the low budget to about 300. Okay. Since the price of inflation and everything else, I've moved everything up to the 300 mark. Used to be, to me, $200 was the budget card of them all. So from 79 to 300, that's your lowball cards. That's your budget cards. That is your beginner cards. Now from 301 up to, let's say, 500 or 600, that's your mid-level cards. Mid-level. I'd say from 3 to 6, 301 to 6 is your mid-level cards. Now from 601 and above, those I consider your high performance cards. 601 and above. There's a reason why I say that, especially when the 40 and going in between the RTX 4070 and the RTX 4070 Ti. The amount of bump that's up on the 4070 Ti is a little bit different, but using the same die straights, there's still a little bit of a bump. But it's only like maybe 22% faster. 4070 Ti is 22% faster than 4070. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you want to put the 4070 Ti and above in the high level cards. And the 4070 and below that, you want to put that into your mid-range cards from 301 to 600. So, and from 300 and down to 70, 60 or 50 or whatever, those are your lowball cards. Okay. Now, when they price the 30 series in the mid-level ranges, okay, the bad thing that they don't tell you is that those cards within the 301 and the 600 range, okay, those right there are your mid-tier cards. Those are the ones you really want, for good gameplay and price to performance, a lot better in price to performance. So you break that off away from, the three tiers that you got. You got low tier, you got mid tier, and you got high tier. Okay, you break the tiers away, and then you weigh out what performance the cards get in between those tiers. I'm just explaining to you how I would do it and how I am going to do it. So I broke it into three tiers, and I would imagine everybody does the same thing, but they got their different levels of where they're breaking the tiers and so on. So 3060 falls into the low tiers that I feel, and everybody's sitting there trying to get their hands on it, which they can get their hands on it all they want, but I still don't think that card is a mid-level card. I really don't consider the 3060 a mid-level card, since everybody, considers it as a starter card, a beginner's card. But the 3060 Ti, that right there, I would consider a mid-level card, because the performance, it gets a lot better performance than the 3060. So yeah. The difference between the 3060 and the 3060 Ti, the 3060 Ti gets better overall performance, I think, compared to the 3060. Yeah, the 3060 might have 12 gigabytes of VRAM, but what people don't understand is VRAM's not everything. You could have all the VRAM in the world, but if your card's bus speed is not keeping up with the times, and the bus speed, the amount of flow through, I say flow through, And people don't know what that means. It's what they call through output. If it doesn't have much through output, let's say it's got 17 gigabits per second on the through output, then what happens is your card's going to be drastically slow. It's going to be like you're running back on Windows XP, Windows 7 kind of graphics. If you're kind of looking towards what the graphics might look like, that's kind of what I'm, pitching to you and letting you know. If you want Windows 7 graphics, that's pretty much where you're going to be falling. 1080p gaming is not all Windows 7 graphics. It is definitely, but it is great graphics if you set it up correctly. You build your computer correctly, you set it up correctly, and everything else. 1080p gaming is not bad at all. Creator work, that's 4K. Everybody wants to be in that 4K, 8K kind of thing. So, you want something with more performance. Like, your 4070 Ti is a good one. Your 4080, your 4090. If you look on over to the AMD side, 7900 XTX. And maybe the 7900 XT, I'm kind of iffy about it being something for creators. I'm still iffy about it because, it doesn't, I wish AMD would have had a third card that would have been a lot better. That would have been a great predecessor. They would have had 3 predecessors, at that high range. But like everybody was doing, they were shunning the RX 7900 XT as soon as it came out of the gate. They really didn't care for that card at all. And also too, the 7900 XTX out of the gate had its problems. It had heatsink issues and everything else. Don't forget your drinks and your snacks, like always. So, every new piece of hardware that comes out on the market is going to have its problems. You can't resolve all the problems within one day. It takes several amounts of days to weeks to months to iron out all the issues. So if you're having issues with your product that you got on the first day and it's the first day launch and everything else, sit on it a little bit longer. As long as you're not having power problems, as long as you're not having extreme graphic problems like lines, stuttering and stuff like that. If you're having stuttering, then that usually is because hardware to software. It's common sense. Hardware to software. So basically the drivers are not up to date like they need to be. If you're getting black screen and everything else like you do on the Arc from Intel, until they get everything caught up, then that's how it works. But if you noticed, Intel Arc is catching up in the driver software. They're putting out new stuff each week, so y'all just sit tight with that. All right, back to graphics card nightmares. Look at this, 6600, good deal, $219. I would go as far as recommending the 6600. The 6650 XT, the 6600 XT are still your good low-range cards, so do remember that. Now, I would love to try this out in heavy gaming, the RX 580. I'd love to try it out in heavy gaming to see if it actually would keep up with my PC today and see if it was going to be bottlenecked by my PC. Since my PC is now in the B550 range, that's a good deal. That means I can set the graphics card to its max, but I can also turn down the processor so it's not killing the processor and equalize it in between the GPU and the CPU. So that means you equalize them. Even though you get a high-powered CPU doesn't mean you can't turn it down a little bit to where it equalizes with your graphics card and get a great gameplay. Okay, everybody's like, oh, you leave performance on the table and this and that. No, you're not. You're leaving performance on the table is when you can't equalize your GPU with your CPU. You keep bottlenecking it, and guess what? You're going to have a bad gameplay. But solve the problem by taking and toning down your CPU to match with your GPU to where you get an awesome gameplay. Okay? If you do that, I'm sure your performance level will come up higher. And that's what you want, to go up higher, not go lower. That doesn't make no sense. You know, to keep yourself down like that, you're losing more performance on the table by letting your CPU bottleneck your GPU. Okay? And same with your GPU bottlenecking your CPU. You turn it down a little bit so you have a great gameplay. I mean, it's not, you leave more performance on the table complaining about what you're not doing instead of fixing the problem and doing it. That's what I don't understand. The way I got my CPU right now and my CPU is equaled to the GPU. GPU and CPU are equaled. So they're not bottlenecking each other. They're right there at that fine line. So that way, any games I play, I'm going to have a great gameplay. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm going to have a great gameplay. Just to let you know. So, that's the reason why I'm not complaining about the RTX 4070. And that's the reason why I'm not complaining about the Ryzen 7 5700X. Is because I have them set perfectly to where they accommodate each other. Even on different testing that I did, say they're right there at the 100% line. If I want something that's going to be balls to the wall, okay, I would have bought myself a high-end CPU. I would have bought myself high-end CPU or PC parts. But I didn't. I wanted a mid-range gaming PC like everybody does in this world. To where it doesn't cost over $1,000, but gives you great gameplay. Okay? You can get great gameplay from low end to mid end to whatever end. Okay? Don't think that you can't get great gameplay. They just don't tell you the factor of that you can balance your GPU with your CPU. Or your CPU with your GPU. You can balance it. That's the reason why they get all those little tips and tricks in the BIOS to balance out the fact of how fast or how slow your CPU is going to run. Okay, there's a way to balance it out. Just do your homework and learn everything you can about your processor. And then you know which way to go. You can bring it back, bring it down. And everybody says, oh, you're leaving performance on the table. I ain't leaving nothing on the table when I'm getting, high rated between 5 and 800 FPS. I'm not leaving nothing on the table. Anything that's over 60 FPS is not leaving something on the table. Now understand that. Most of your games are locked at 60 FPS. Well, some, not all, but some. So, when they're locked at 60 FPS, you can't go any higher. So what does it matter if you got something that is mid to low range play? Or you balance it out to where with the game itself, you're leaving performance on the table. You're not leaving performance on the table because of your PC. It's because of the games you play. Now, if the games you play, you want faster response, then think about your keyboard and your mouse. Getting a better keyboard and mouse to give you better game response. There's the trick. It's not the matter of, your GPU and your CPU. It's a matter of your keyboard and mouse. Get something with a better response. They got plenty of keyboards and mouse out there with better responses. I got the Red Dragon. It's got great responses. Red Dragon, no problem. Great responses. Same with the mouse. Mouse right here. Right here. See? mouse. Great response. Red Dragon. I have no problem with it. Depends on what you want. Go for what you want. Alright, this is not a tutorial about the keyboard and mouse. So let's keep moving on. And we're 25 minutes and we're falling behind. Okay, now the 1660 Super is not bad if you're doing low-level gameplay. That's fine. If you creator work, it's kind of 50-50. There's some things you can do with this for creator work, just to let you know. It's not totally a dead horse if you're looking for that. Now the 4080 came down in price. It didn't come down. See, now they marked it at $1324. Maybe where they got it going on, but they also too they got used offers at $1,056. So you probably can get it at a better price if you get an open boxed or something like that. Get it down to like $800. That'd be even better. If you can get this down to, you can get the 4080 down to around $800 on an open box, and it's got everything in there, then you know what? Guess what? You got a great deal. I mean, you got an awesome deal there. But I can't see paying $216 for a 16 Super. 1660 Super, I cannot see you paying $200 for. I can see you paying $120 for it, but not $200. It's just ridiculous. 5500 XT, not a bad processor. It's a GDR6, 8 gigabytes. Still the same thing. Same thing as the 580. You get a little bit more performance. Guess what? $135. Not bad. So, it comes down to what you really want. I mean, $379 for a 3060 version 2. The only version I see different is it has one extra fan. I mean, I'm 1050 I wouldn't even touch. 550 I wouldn't even touch. 580, $99. I don't know that, and I don't know that one. So, I mean, even if they got that, I mean, from what somebody told me, this company right here is a China-based company. Right here. They're China-based. So, all the parts that you get on there, this is what somebody told me. All the parts you get on there are brand new, except for the graphics chip. That's the only thing that's not new that's on these right here, because you get a used chip and you get all brand new parts. I mean, that's what I was told. Don't quote me on it and don't shun me for it, but that's what I was told. And it came out of China, and they only charge half the price, from China to here. So basically you're just paying double for nothing. So that's what I was told. They got a 5600 XT right here. Still, I mean, it's a 6 gigabyte, but it's not a bad card neither. If you're looking for low level gaming and you don't need a lot of VRAM, this would be a great card for you. They say AAA games, I don't think so. I kind of beg to differ on that. So, but anyway, now it's time. Let's go over to Newegg and let's just glance through real quick on Newegg and see what's going on. I don't want to keep you all going on, this is every week. I just want to show you all the prices and get it all out the way so you see what's going on. And we go to graphics cards. Let's see what they got. Anything good? Anything good? I mean, they keep bringing out the 4, the 6, the 8 gigabytes right up front. The VRAM cards. Instead of bringing out the 12, the 16, and the 24. This is where consumers want to see the 12 gigabyte, the 16 gigabyte, and the 24 gigabyte, or the 20 gigabyte. But they don't really want to see the 4, the 6, the 8, and somewhat not even really the 10, but the 10 is like fine line. 10 gigabytes of VRAM on a graphics card is very fine line. But like I told you, VRAM is not everything. VRAM is not what makes up the graphics card to make it as a whole. There's a lot more to it than the VRAM that makes that card as a whole. Because you can always turn down settings to make those graphics card work, no matter what the price is or what they have or what they do. But, you know, if you really want to fine line it and you really want to know, you know, can a $200 graphics card game? Yes. Can a $150 graphics card game? Yes. Can a $70 graphics card game? Yes. You know, even some of your, you know, you got graphics cards, you know, in the new range that are, you know, just tipping over $100. Can they game? Yes. I had a lot of people tell me this. So, you know, believe it or not, the lowest of the low end to me would be the RX 580. You know, and for what I see, a lot of people giving a lot of good praise about it, you know, it being $100 graphics card, you know, between the $90 and $100, it's not bad. If you got $100 spot in your pocket and you know you're not going to have any more money for, you know, to do this for another 6 to 8 months, but you really need a graphics card, yeah, I would say go for the 580. Or if, you know, you can find used anything above the 580, you would have been better off. Except for the 6500 XT. I don't recommend that goddamn card. I had it. I tested it. It's nothing but crap. So, you know, I'm not even going to recommend it. It's like the 3050 and the 6500 XT X'd off of my list of cards to test. Those I will not test. Because they're nothing but, you know, was it 64 bit bus? I think they said it was a 64 bit or something like that. I have to check into it. I know the 6500 XT has got a 64 bit bus. So I think the 3050 does too. Don't quote me on it. I'll have to check, and when I do check, I'll let y'all know. But the thing is, you know, you get a 1060 with the 192-bit, 3 gigabytes, GDR5, $109. You've been better off to go with the 580 for the same price. 580 has 192, well, no, I think it has a 256-bit. I have to check that too, so. Look at this. Newegg must be out of their goddamn mind. Be charging a 3070 Ti for $630. Gotta be out of their mind. There's 3060, $400. They're crazy. They're crazy. 3060, 12 gigabytes, $289. Off-name card compared to an on-name card. One's got 2 fans, the other's got 3. Just because it's got one more fan does not mean you need to jack the price up to the moon. You know, $989 for a Strix 4070 Ti. It's below $1,000. If you're looking at this 4070 Ti OC, $990 right here. Okay. 4060, I ain't even talking about it. Ain't nothing to talk about. When it comes to the 40, and understand this, the 4060, RTX 4060, 4060 Ti, until I test them, I have nothing to talk about. Nothing. I have nothing to say because, you know, people do ask me this question, and I got this question before. They asked me, is the 4060 a good card, or the 4060 Ti? Even the 4060 Ti, if you look at the recommendations that nvidia puts on their own website between the 4060 and the 4060 Ti, they're exactly the same card. Exactly the same damn card. Only difference is, well, not the 4060 and the 4060 Ti. The 4060 Ti 8 gigabyte and the 4060 Ti 16 gigabyte. Let me get it right. I do apologize. The 8 gigabyte and 16 gigabyte are the same damn cards. Same exact. One's just got 8 gigabytes and the other one's got 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That's it. There's nothing special to those cards. You know, they're not putting any more performance to the 16 gigabyte one, which would have made more sense, and try to sell it for $100 more, but you give more performance than, you know, just taking the 8 gigabyte card and adding another 8 gigabytes of VRAM to it and saying, here you go. It's like telling the dog you threw a bone, but where's the bone? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for $100 more. It does not make sense. The 4060, the 4060 Ti's don't make sense to me. Not one bit. Not especially when the 4060 Ti is almost 30% less in performance than my 4070. It does not make sense. Looking at my numbers compared to everybody else's numbers on the 4070 compared to everybody else's numbers on the 4060 Ti and the 4060 does not make sense to me. Those cards, if let's say if you're coming from, you know, a smaller tier card like a 4 gigabyte card, a VRAM card, 4 gigabyte of VRAM, and you're going up to this card right here, and you're trying to get 2 more gigabytes or 4 more gigabytes, so you got 8 gigabytes of VRAM. You know, you spent $109 on that card at the time you bought it, the 4 gigabyte one. Now, in order to get 8 gigabytes, you got to spend $200 more. So guess what? You got $300 you got to spend to get 8 gigabytes of VRAM, to get any kind of performance. You know, 4060 and 4060 Ti are not creator cards. They're just gaming cards. 1080p gaming. I don't even consider them for a creator, on a creator card. I don't even consider it. Even though they got the AV1 encoding, so what? You can do live gaming? So? You can do that on your processor. What's the big deal? You can do H.264 off of your processor. What's the big deal? So, you know, AV1 encoding ain't all out there completely. So, you know, basically you'll have it just to sit there. And that's what you'll have. You'll just have it to sit there, and that's all it's going to do. Until either YouTube updates everything and goes to AV1 encoding or whatever, you know, it's just going to sit there. You think you're going to get the full AV1 encoding? No, you're not. The reason why I know that, because I got the RTX 4070. I don't get the full 100 AV1 encoding like it supposedly says. I'm still running off of H.264, which is running off the processor. Because I'm not doing too many live streams just yet, I can't really use the AV1 encoding. Now, the programs I'm using are all H.264 programs for the hardware, for the processor. So that means I would have to switch over all my programs and everything else to find a program that's going to do just AV1. You know what? I'm happy with my programs. Why switch them? I don't see any updates to my programs. Why switch it? I don't see, you know, too much benefit with OBS. Why switch it? So, what? Because it makes your processor run, what, slower? Makes your processor run less by using AV1? Use up less room using AV1? I mean, you're going to look down the road and you're going to say, well, AV1 just ran just well as H.264. So that's just my opinion. Moving on down the road, we got to get going because it's now 40 minutes into this video. Okay, let's go ahead and let's look down the road. 4060 Ti, $400. Let's see, 4060, $300. $300, $400. 4060 Ti, 16 gigabyte, $500. $300, $400, $500, and then you go up to the 4070, $600. 3, 4, 5, 6. Makes sense? $100 jumps. And you know the jump between the 4060 Ti and the 4070 is a better jump because you're going from the 60 Ti to the 4070, you're getting 30% more performance than you are from the 4060 Ti. Could you imagine the 4060 having, a bigger gap? So, everybody says, well, go from the 30 series to the 40 series. No. Why would I do that? 30 series is already done and gone. Just like the motherboards. And everybody says about the motherboards. AM4 is done and gone. Everybody's moved to AM5. Why would AM4 be any different? AM4 is in the past. Everybody's on AM5. Not everybody. I hate to tell you that they're buddies. Not everybody's on AM5. Not a lot of people can afford high-priced motherboards. So, you're thinking everybody's there. You only got the 1% there. You don't have the 99% that's still sitting and waiting and trying to save up to get to be on that 1% mark. So you can have 2%. So, not everybody is at there yet. I'm not switching to AM5 just yet, and I'm going to be honest with you, the platform on AM5, it's not there. I want it to be seasoned a little bit more before I decide to make that jump. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still testing out AM4, and I still feel that the AM4 series has a lot more to offer than the AM5 series. And guess what? I'm on an AM4 motherboard. I am on the AM4 platform and running a new graphics card like the RTX 4070. Yeah, it's not the 4070 Ti, but it's still in the 40 class series. And I'm running it with an older platform, which is not an old platform. It's a platform that's been going on for many years, but might have ended in end of 22, beginning of 23, but you know what? So what? You still got about another 4 to 5 to 6 years with that platform going anyway. So what's the difference? There's always they're already making new processors to go on the AM4 platform. They got 3 new processors. 3. Okay, I already got one of them, and I'm going to try to get my hands on the other 2. So that means I'll have all the limited amount collectors of those processors, which I'm not going to let those processors sit. I'm going to use them, so they're not going to collect dust. So they are going to get their use, and even though that they're collectors or whatever, they're going to get used. But moving on down the road, is there anything good on Newegg? Any updates? Any price cuts? As far as price cuts, I can't really tell you all if there's any price cuts, because I haven't, like they got the 5500 XT. They got saved 20% right here for the RISC, the 51 RISC. 5500 XT, eight gigabytes of D6 means DDR6 gaming graphics card. 128-bit. 128-bit, the same bit as your RTX 4060 and your 4060 Ti. 128-bit, 8 gigabytes, $119. $100 cheaper than the RTX 4060 and $200 cheaper than the 4060 Ti 8GB, and $300 cheaper than the 4060 Ti 16GB. So, and I got a couple friends that use the 5500 XT, and they say it's a monster. I say, okay, well, it's a monster, then, that's a good one, then. I know, I understand everybody can't afford a lot, and I understand that, it's one of those things to where, when it comes to money, you got to cut it tight and everything else. I understand that. I'm in that same boat too. You ain't the only one. Me trying to get, computer parts and stuff to present to you all on this channel, it's been a tough haul for me, and I've been trying my best to save up to get the things to show you all. It's been a long haul, but I'm still going to continue to do it. Even if I got no sponsorship or whatever the case is, I'm going to continue to do what I do best and try to bring content to y'all that, that y'all will be happy with. So moving on down the road, you got a 1060 right here, 109. As far as price drops, everybody, on Newegg, I don't know what Newegg's doing, but I don't really see much of a price drop on anything, except for maybe right there the new 7600. This is Asus Dual Radeon RTX 7600 OC, 8GB GDR6 version, PCIe 4.0, 274. Okay, that's a pretty good one for 274 if you're looking for a starter card. I wouldn't consider this a mid-level range card just yet, as it's below $300, and I don't consider it mid-range yet. All right, let's go ahead and move over to eBay. Sorry, eBay. Make sure I don't type in the wrong one and put e-waste, and then y'all be upset with me. Then we'll be going to ewaste.com. eBay.com. Yes, I'm picking on it because for the simple fact, I can't understand why people would try to rip people off on this site and eBay let everybody get away with ripping people off on this site for cards that are not worth the price they're selling them for. I can't believe it. It's nothing but a cash grab here. You take and put your crap on here, and then somebody will buy it for some reason. If you're that hurt for it and you can't get a brand new one, then come right here to eBay. Ugh. I'm just telling the truth where the truth is, and hopefully it doesn't hurt. But, like I said, if you buy something off of eBay, you take your own risk. You only get, now if you get a 30-day guarantee cash back from the seller, then you got a good seller. Not saying they're really a great seller, but if they offer you the cash back. But one thing you got to worry about is if you buy something from a seller on eBay and they turn around and made their money and close up shop, and then you're left with, you can't return it. That's what you have to worry about, because what they're doing is making a new account, and then jumping account to account until they make, and that's how they're making their money. That's how they're scamming people right now, is they're making new accounts. See, now the only way that's going to stop is if eBay decides to say, okay, well, your IP address matches to this account, and you're starting a new account and closing that one. That will stop the scamming. Is when eBay learns to, attach their IP address to their accounts, so that way they can't rip people off, and they know eBay is on the ball by attaching your account to your IP address. Now, in some games, online games, I do play, there are some games, and the game makers, when they made their little enterprise thing for their games and everything else, like, let's say, geez, I can't remember the names. It's the way they used to do the older games, online games for your phone. It's attached by your IP address. So basically, your account is attached to your IP address. If you go to change your, try to alter your IP address or hide your IP address, you cannot play that game. That was just the way they were. So, and also too, with the password you had with it, you had also a passcode you had to use on top of that. You had to use a 4 or 5 digit passcode. And I was like, wow, that's some good security. Thought it was. But they even learned how to get past that. But the whole idea is this, and this is what it comes down to. Okay? Now, I just want you to understand that if you don't get a great seller on here, if you don't look at their stats, you don't get to know what they're all about by seeing all their products and going to their site and seeing what they're all selling. They could sell one graphics card, but they could be selling junk on top of that. Okay, if they're not selling, if they're the kind of site that's just selling one graphics card and the rest is junk on their site, it's e-waste. But if they're selling just graphics cards, and they got great reviews on all graphics cards from, people buying from their site, and you see that, and you see the reviews, that's going to be a promising site. But, finding a site that they just sell one graphics card and the rest is, your neighbor's shoes, you don't want that. So, pick and choose when you go to these people's sites. It's like right here. It says top rated plus. Okay, let's click on that, right? So, let's see a little bit more information. Okay, let's go to visit store. Okay. Now, this tells you if it's a good seller or not. It says All Electronic Depot. Okay. Now, that is a common name anybody would use. Okay. Especially if you've been in business since 2008, you would not have this kind of font that you can pick off of Google Images right here. Because look at the fonts. Does that make sense to you to have that put onto your page? I would never use that. Okay. See, now, look at this. Why would you be selling a cordless Brad nailer amongst graphics cards? See, look. See this? You see these right here. I understand this. These could be pictures on returns. Okay, these could be pictures on eBay. Google Images. Okay, these right here could be all. But look, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're selling one, but anybody can take get a Google image and post it as theirs. So but they're selling tools. I wouldn't buy from, because this is all electronic. To me, that's not all electronic. That's just all junk. That's what I see. So, sorry to call you out like that, dude, but, your thing is, I would never buy this or anything from you for the simple fact that, you're mixing power tools in with your graphics cards. It makes absolutely no sense. You should have took your tools, put them on a separate site compared to your graphics cards, and put them on a separate site. Less is better, my man. Less is better. So, trying to fill your page up doesn't make it better. It just makes it worse. Especially mixing power tools with graphics cards does not make sense. If you were just mixing it with pure motherboards or processors or something like that, that makes sense. But mixing it with household items, household tools, does not make sense. So don't expect me, I'm just going to tell you, don't expect me to buy from you. See price. Why would I want to see the price when you had the price as marked as was $419.99? Now you see where the nightmare comes in. And this is where the nightmare does come in. When somebody does something dumb like that. A 3050 8GB. See price. I can already tell you, if it's over $270, you can keep that card until it collects dust. Because 3050s ain't worth crap. I hate to tell you that, it ain't worth crap. So this RTX 3050, people can get a lot better like a 3060. So, just to give you an idea, 5500 XT 8GB, we seen it for what, 139, 149, 159. I think 139. $89. Make sure it's a reputable seller. Make sure they got things in their store that make sense. Okay, if they got it in their store that makes sense, I showed you what makes sense. So if you use those make sense tools, then you probably get a better deal. If you want to take the risk and buy it, that's your risk. I'm not telling you to buy it, or I'm not telling you to not buy it. I'm not telling you anything. All I can do is show you where it's at and tell you it's there today, right now. That's all I can do. I'm not going to tell you to buy it or not buy it or whatever. I can tell you what I'm not going to buy and the reason why and what kind of a nightmare it is and why I feel it's a nightmare. I can tell you that. Like 6700 XT 12GB, 265. So go 275, you go $280. $280 for an RX 6700 XT 12GB. If it's true to what it says, and the seller is true to their name, and and when you get the card, it looks awesome, it runs awesome, and everything else, then you got a great deal for $280, including shipping. Just to tell you, for $280. It's a little bit step below the RTX 4070, but it'll still smoke the 3060. So, and it's 12 gigabytes. Do you remember that it's 12 gigabytes? Okay, now you got the 3080 for $429. Oh, okay, well, $429, that's still not bad. If you don't want to spend a butt ton of money, then $429 is not too bad for a 3080. If you can find them for that and they're still running and they're still doing great and they're not beat up to all get off, then yeah. 5700 XT Mech for $130. That's not bad for 130. It's a 5700. 3070, 289. That's not bad neither. As long as you get more than the box, you're doing good. 1078 gigabyte for 89. Now that's more sensible. A 1070, that's more sensible. For 89 bucks, their best offer. Okay. Now if they knocked off the $12.95 for the shipping, this for $90 would be worth it. Okay. But what makes it a nightmare is when you take and tack on something as tacky as $13 shipping. You know, if you're going to sell a card, sell it right and add it to the price. Don't add it as a separate, telling the consumer, I want you to pay for the shipping because I only can afford. When I bought the card, I bought it for this price. And they don't tell you the fact of that, when you get it out of recycling, that, you get it from a garbage dump and then you turn around and you sell it on eBay. You bought it for $5, so you're trying to make back at least a third of the money that you spent buying it for $5 at the dump, the trash dump. Or if you spent $20 into it to fix the RAM chips, that's another thing. So basically, that's what you're telling everybody. Or if you work on graphics cards for a living, and you got a ton of them, and you're trying to make an extra buck by putting one together from a bunch of parts that you got for free, then that means you're making that extra little bit to go into your pocket from the free cards that you already have. So basically, you can't make money off of those certain parts, so you figure why not just put it into one GPU and make some money. That's a good, smart deal to do it like that. But anyway, it is what it is. So as you can see, eBay has its nightmares going on. They got, look at this right here, 4060 Eagle OC 8 gigabytes GDR6, $339 for the 4060. Look at this. They're already selling it on eBay. The 4060s, the new ones, they're already poaching them up on eBay. Right here, brand new. They're buying it and poaching them. They're already, the scalpers are already on the prowl with the 4060s. And the 4060 Ti's, I bet, too. They're already on the prowl. Oh my God. Don't they ever know that you can buy it for $300? You're just wasting your money? Or you're just going to let it sit there? And I'm going to say, you're going to let it sit there until they run out of the $300 ones. So that way you can take and make your $339. By then, you'll probably move it up to $400. So we know how you're going to poach it. We know you're going to try to make $100 off of it. It's common sense. Look at this. 7600, 269, $10. It doesn't make sense. $10 less. RX 7600, $10 less than what they're selling it for new. Wow, I think y'all, that says brand new right there. $10 less, unless, yeah, $10 less. Oh my goodness. Titan XP 12 gigabyte GDR5, $224. Not bad for a Titan. If it works. Let's keep moving it down the road. Okay, 3060 used, $224. You all know that right here, twin fans, you can get cheaper than triple fans. But you can get triple fans for the same price. Brand new. So that's a nightmare right there. That is a nightmare. Trying to sell that. That right there is a joke. So, moving on down the road, 1660 Super, 130. A little bit sensible, but it's open boxed. 259, 3060 Ti. You better make that like $200, almost $300 just for that alone. And 1650, 4 gigabytes for $100 or best offer. Dude, sell the card for $69.99. That's all you're going to get from it. Especially a 1650, 4 gigabytes. You're only going to get $50 or $60 for it. And that's all you're going to get. Even if it's brand new. If they sell it brand new for more than $50 or $60, tell them to go kick sand. That's what you do. You tell them to go kick sand. So, alright. Last but not least, we are going to move to Micro Center. Micro Center. And guess what? We're now going to approach this Micro Center. Alrighty. Look at this. We got Micro Center right here. Let's do the graphics card kickers. Let's see. Let's go to products. Let's go to PC parts. Let's do it the long way. Just to make just to make somebody happy. Just to make somebody happy. There we go. We'll just do all GPUs just to make somebody happy. Okay. Last week, same price, did not change. Okay, let's see, going on down the road since last week when we viewed this, let's see. Nothing has changed. You could look last week, we gone through the same thing and looks like nothing has changed. Wow, we've been on this 1 hour, just to let you know. We're kind of doing a little bit of a longie, but we're getting down there. 6800 XT, $570. 4060 Ti, $400. 1650 XT, $229. Now, the 6650 XT, that's not a bad price. That is not a bad price. 6700 XT, still that's a little too high for my blood. But just to let you know, Micro Center does got some good prices. I did visit them yesterday, and that video is coming out hopefully later today or tomorrow. So do stick around for that. And as you can see, the prices are about the same as last week. So let's go ahead and just narrow this down and just say it like this. And yes, I know you see it says Ryzen. Of course. Okay. Now, if I were to see price changes from last week to this week, I've only seen a couple, but they're on lower end graphics cards. They're not on the high end graphics cards. Well, they were on a couple of them, but not all of them. If we want to see a drastic price change on graphics cards, AMD and nvidia, you need to lower them all at the same time. And you need to keep that price down there for at least 30 days to give everybody the advantage to go out and buy one. So if you can lower it enough to make the consumer happy, and I'm not saying gamer, I'm saying consumer as a whole, everybody as a whole, gamers, creators, everything as a whole, and drop them prices down for 30 days instead of doing these one-day pop-up sales, thinking you're going to sell more on them pop-up sales. Actually, you're selling less on a pop-up sale. So it's more or less like you're insulting the customers, and that's the way they're taking it. You want to do something major? You want to do something really major? If you're doing these game bundles, why don't you do something major? Why don't you make it for 30 days and not just one day? Make it for a whole 30 days to do the bundles, or to lower the prices for a whole 30 days down to enough where the customer can afford it, and see how much sales you have then. Do a test to see how much sales. Yeah, it might cost you a couple $1 million, but the thing is, you'll gain more customers and you'll sell more graphics cards when you show the consumer you care. Not just AI care, means all the way from soup to nuts. Remember, if you don't have the customers, you're not going to have AI. AI is going to fizzle. Don't think it won't, because I've seen this happen before, to where everybody started boasting about AI. What was in the 80s? I think it was in the 80s, and then it just died off. They all thought it was cool to get that bonsai buddy. I think it was in the 80s, or I think it was in the 90s. Sorry, not the 80s, the 90s. They come out with that bonsai buddy. Found out that that bonsai buddy was hacking accounts, stealing personal information and everything else. So they got sued for that. So, if you're going to do something, it's hardware to software. Okay, I can tell you right now, Microsoft has already screwed up on their software many of times already. And they're even screwing up even more. But when it comes to the hardware, these hardware companies are screwing up by costing and selecting a certain consumer base, which is your 1%ers that can afford this, instead of targeting the 99% that's out there and telling them, hey, we're going to bring down the price for you, let's make it affordable. You don't do that. And that's where a majority of your gamers are pissed. Even some of your enthusiasts are pissed because of this. So don't take my word for it. It is what it is. It's a nightmare. The way you made it with the graphics cards, it's just a complete nightmare for this whole batch, for this whole series. This whole series you've done is just a complete nightmare, just to let you know. And that's the way the consumer feels. That's the way I heard from a lot of reviewers feel, and, I'm not saying I feel like that, but I'm hearing it and telling you what they're telling me. So, and I'm telling you, it is what it is. You want to get your consumers back, you want everybody to be back on board with you, then you need to crack down and get things straight. So, first start straightening everything up, get your house in order, get your prices down, until these GPU manufacturers, nvidia and AMD, tell these ones that are holding you hostage, you tell them, hey, look, if you don't start doing it this way and giving us a decent price for our consumers, you're going to go somewhere else. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that will do it for you for a cheaper price, to give the rebate back to your customers. Problem is you locked yourself in with TSMC, AMD, and nvidia. You locked yourself in with one, making them a monopoly. And that's kind of hurting your consumers. So, it is what it is. But anyway, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. What I mean by you guys know what I mean. And anyway, thank you, all the new subscribers. Welcome to the family. Welcome to JJ's PC Builds. And my veteran subscribers, thank you so much for your love and support. Appreciate all that you do. We're going to get out of here because I got that next video I got to take and get together. But until the next time in the next video and next week on Saturdays, don't forget it comes every Saturday, Graphics Card Nightmares. And yes, we had a lot of nightmares today, and we're going to have a lot more probably coming next week. So we will see you on the next video.